Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for attending. Thanking you, and also on behalf of my colleague Huzur. So we welcome you together to this discussion on transition finance. Before going into the topic, I would like to mention that we are going to record this session, and we will also present it later on our channels like LinkedIn and YouTube and so on. So if you disagree, then of course there's not much that we can do. So you have to take your decision whether that's fine with you. We will also provide a summary afterwards, we will also publish this. Please also send us your email address so that we can send you a questionnaire for evaluating this event, and this will help us to get into contact for further exchanges. I have just to change something. Just a second, please, because someone has changed the language to Turkish. But in order for our artificial intelligence summary provider, since I'm speaking English and most of us will be speaking English, we have to record it in the correct language. I'm sorry about that. As far as concerns myself, my name is Vera Calenbuhr. I'm the founder of BlueMarble, and we help firms and organizations in general to find out what sustainability means, and we help them to strengthen business sustainability, basically to embrace sustainability from a more positive perspective rather than seeing it as a burden. So we see it as an opportunity. Content-wise, we are all aware that the European Commission has put sustainability very high on the agenda, not least when looking at the Green Deal. And one very important aspect of the whole package is, of course, sustainable finance. We could briefly call these are all those topics that help to basically finance or to pay for the transition that is necessary and intended, for example, to be climate neutral by the middle of the century. And there are a number of interesting aspects. We cannot cover all of them. We will only scratch on the surface of the whole sustainable finance issue. Today, we will focus on a recommendation. I have to read it in order not to make any mistakes. It's a recommendation on facilitating finance for the transition towards a sustainable economy. This is our main topic today, and we will have a presentation and also on a discussion. And the main purpose of this will be to have an exchange in order to sort of provide the background and understand a few elements. We only have 45 minutes, so we cannot go too much into detail. We will also offer an opportunity to go a lot more in detail. And today's meeting will also serve to collect some information via your questions here, via your interest, but also via a questionnaire that we will send you afterwards in order to identify what are really your needs related to the transition finance aspect, or even from a broader perspective, the sustainable finance questions. I think this is all that I would like to say from my side regarding the beginning, and I'll hand over to my colleague Huzur Keskin. So Huzur, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Vera. And thank you very much for your joining to our first webinar. And Quadomo and BlueMarble joined together and decided to make collaboration to create a better world and for sustainability. And this webinar is the first webinar, as I mentioned to you before, and it's so important. We are not so experienced, but I hope this webinar will be so fruitful for everybody. And we are planning to have these kinds of webinars more, and we would like to choose some specific subjects and to discuss together. And it's very important for me because we need to follow, we need to know some progress in EU side. And we need to do a lot of things in our country, Turkey and MENA region. So these kinds of webinars can give us good opportunity to catch to each other and to know all the new things, new legislations, new applications, especially in EU side. And also it's a good opportunity too to introduce and to talk about what we are doing in Turkey. And so, and thank you again for your join our webinar. And also, I would like to give a little bit summary information about my company, Quadomo. Quadomo is a financial consultancy company. We have been focusing on the financing side, and we have been very good networks to provide the impact investors and the financial merger acquisition partners for energy sector, renewable energy sector, and technology sector, and all other sectors. But right now, our priority sectors are these renewable energy and technology. And I'm the founder and the CEO of the Quadomo, and we would like to expand our services, especially in sustainable finance side, and not only in Turkey, but also MENA region. And I hope this first webinar will be so successful and very fruitful for all of us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Huzur, for this introduction. And I think we go directly into the content and into the program. Today we will have mainly two important blocks from our external experts. One will be an interview with Mr. Franz Knecht from Connexus Strategy Consultants. And Mr. Serdar Dindler will also make a presentation after the question and answer session. Huzur will introduce Mr. Dindler after the question and answer sessions. So we will take roughly 10 minutes for some questions and answers related to the recommendation. And you can, of course, ask questions afterwards. But there will also be a final question and answer session. So after the questions and the presentation, there will be a final kind of section, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, where you can ask additional questions. We will also try to take the questions that you sent us in the chat. I would ask for your understanding that we can possibly not answer all of them, and maybe also not in all detail, but we try as much as we can. If we cannot handle it here, we try to answer by mail, or we will include it in the planning for our more in-depth seminar that we are organizing. I hope that we can handle as much in any case. So I would like to introduce you Mr. Franz Knecht. He is actually one of the pioneers of sustainable finance in Europe. I know he doesn't like to hear that, but it's true. He has had quite some influence on shaping funds, on developing tools, methods, and so on. And on top of that, he's also become a very renowned expert. He's the delegate of the Swiss National Standardization Organization, and he works a lot with ISO in order to develop standards related to sustainability and these kinds of areas. So he's also very strongly involved in the whole reporting on environmental and sustainability issues. This is, of course, the opportunity now to discuss with Franz some of the issues related to the Commission recommendation. As you know, the Commission recommendation on transition finance was published last year as a package, a final package on sustainable finance, at least during the current period of the European Parliament and the current Commission. it was in contrast to the other parts, which were regulations. The recommendation is basically what its name states. It's just a recommendation. So there is new regulation, new laws involved with it. But on the contrary, it is designed like a how-to guide. And this is what I would like to discuss with Franz right now. So is it okay, Franz? Can we start? Are you ready?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay.
I'm ready. Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Very good. The goal of this recommendation is to clarify the concept of transition finance, acknowledging the significant role that the different market participants can play by voluntarily using tools. So this is very important to note. It's not the regulatory aspect, but it's the voluntary aspect. So voluntary using these tools from the Union or a sustainable finance framework as needed for transition finance. Now, we often hear that people are saying that it's not clear what sustainable finance is and that it hinders action, this lack of definition. And given the large number of policy documents and international standards and best practice from the recommendation, do you think that, generally speaking, sustainable finance and its tools and instruments are not well defined? What is your opinion?
Thank you for inviting me to this. First of all, second, I was very close to Turkey recently, but not in Turkey because the ISO Technical Committee on Sustainable Finance had its annual meeting on Cyprus. And Cyprus, as you know, has two parts, a Greek part and a Turkish part. So that's as close as I got to Turkey, to say that way. But, you know, the question you raised is an interesting one because definitions are a matter of one thing is opinion. So what do you understand by certain things? And when you are a technical person, you might have another view on definitions than when you are a scientist on politics or on law or on soft issues. So I think the challenge with all this is that there are a lot of definitions. Means there are a lot of opinions about what that could mean. And I think the European Union has tried to make a distinction between what is finance, what is sustainable finance, and what is transition finance. And finance is that what serves the finance, what are the activities and the services and products by the finance industry, disregarding any purpose, any aim, just providing financial means to economic initiatives or economic undertakings. Sustainable finance is, what is that then? Now, sustainable finance then is more the way you provide finance and not yet what you provide. I mean, we tried in ISO to define this in the sense to say sustainable finance is more at the attitude how an institution, a financial institution, is providing its products and services, how it is designed, how they are designed, what are the requirements they have. And now the third thing is transition finance to go into the middle of the problem, which is the purpose of finance here. So we could say that general finance can very well have the purpose of transition finance without having the raising the expectation or having the intention to provide everything else to a sustainable future of our world. So transition finance relates then to other definitions, which means what is supporting a sustainable future to our world, what is sustainable activities, and there we go into these areas of what the European Union defined as the taxonomy. And in many countries, you have this debate on taxonomy. Taxonomy means what are activities or undertakings. The European Union uses these distinctions between saying what is your project, it's a undertaking, and what is your activity, what are you doing actually every day in the business. So I think we might have to make this distinction between sustainable finance as being an objective of the one who provides products and services. Does he have an objective with that? Does he have aims? You know, in many countries, you have organizations that say, I'm the sustainable bank for this and this country, or for this and this area. And others say, well, through my activities, I provide services for a sustainable purpose. And I think that's the whole challenge. We have no, and to come back to your question, we have no clear definition, which means the stakeholders and the markets and the active members in the finance sector or in economy have to get a kind of a consensus, and that only goes through being transparent. So we get into that, what is very much questioned by criticizing the finance sector. Well, this is blue wash, or this is not clear, or this is not precise enough. Well, what is precise enough at the end? It is precise enough when the outcome is green, for example, or the outcome is showing a sustainable contribution. So I think to come back to your question, really, it is not easy, the whole thing. It is not defined. There is a kind of a developing consensus, and that's what the European Union tries now to come up with, this recommendation to say we are not making a directive like the CSRD to say this is it, because it is there is a saying, you know, the objective is the way, the way is the target. We have to get from A to B, and we are on a journey. And that's probably what it really is about, all this discussion. And it is up to the stakeholders of the different sectors and industries and to society to really be, to question that or to contribute to this definition. So if I left you still confused, I hope it's on a higher level of confusion, as we say in consulting usually.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you have not only confused me at a higher level, or left me confused at a higher level, I think you've also answered already my second question, and I find this quite amazing. So let's go to the next one. Now, given this confusion and given all this definitions, etc., etc., let's call it just lack of clarity, maybe. Do you think that the recommendation, which is actually written like a how-to guideline in a way, I mean, it's almost written like a manual, which I find quite interesting. Do you think that it has the potential to simplify investment decisions and or even create opportunities for firms? Or maybe on the contrary, what do you think?
To simplify investment decisions is, of course, that what many people or many actors in the finance sector like to have, because their objective is transaction. And more transaction means more business, and more good transaction means more good business, which means more profitability for all involved, hopefully. It's not only on one side, as you say. So I think it is certainly something that might clarify. Does it make it easier? Maybe on the level of actors, yes. Maybe not necessarily on the level of investors. So we have to make a distinction between the service providers that are, or the product providers, which is the finance industry by itself, and the investor. You know, I think there is often confusion between the finance sector is the investor. Well, the finance sector is the one who provides liquid assets from one side to the other, in principle. And then there are, of course, those who invest, like giving a credit or a loan or providing equity as a financial institution for investors that give the money to a financial institution to do something meaningful with it. Maybe that might help. At the moment, I think it is rather like that we have to clarify. That's what one of the objectives is right now, to clarify what is really contributing to sustainable development with whatever objective. I mentioned the taxonomy. What is contributing to make a sector greener, to use that word, whether you like green as a buzzword for more sustainable, let's leave it there. And I think from that standpoint, it will help. It will certainly help the discussion in the European Union and in the context of the finance sector companies mainly active in the European Union to be more precise. But it's a way to go, as I said. Is it really the panacea, the solution for all and everything? I'm not sure so, because we need to see what the finance sector participants are doing with it. And we are not talking about, the elephant in the room is real economy. So the elephant in the room is those who are needing financing, needed to be financed for a purpose or for general needs of liquid financial assets. And this interlinking between the finance sector and industry, so the financial economy and the real economy, so-called, whether there is a distinction finally or not, that's another debate probably, is the key element right now. And for that, I think the recommendation is engaging the participants in a wider sense. Yeah.
May I say something about the transition finance? As you know, that my profession is only in finance, so I'm looking at the transition finance isn't merely a tool; it's a dynamic force propelling sectors traditionally associated with high carbon prints towards sustainable practices. Picture a landscape where steel mills, shipping conglomerates, and energy giants aren't seen as environmental adversaries, but as pioneers in the green movement. This is the essence of transition finance. It empowers these sectors to pivot towards cleaner, more sustainable operations. What do you think about this? This is my view to look at the transition finance. Is it correct, or what's your opinion? Could you share your opinion about this view, my view about you?
I think you're not certainly not wrong. Whether my opinion counts that much in this whole context, that's another question. But what my perception is about where we are, it is really transition finance is maybe best understood. Also, it might not catch all the loose ends of sustainability. Transition finance is best catch when to say it focuses on providing financial means to those industries and sectors that have a very large contribution to climate change, first of all, because this is the major economic topic right now, because there is such a, talking about how many billions and billions and billions we need every year, which is, when the numbers get so high, it loses credibility because it's too high to handle. So, and we know that already. That's why the politicians say we need to engage with the private financial markets to provide these means. So it's a yin and yang. It has two sides. It's the governmental side and it's the private sector side. So I think when we understand transition finance, first of all, of financing industries that have a high potential, or because they are already going in a direction to contribute to, now let's talk about climate change, or it's financing sectors that haven't done yet much, but would need to move first of all that to catch these challenges that are identified on the political level right now. So not to do anything is certainly making your stranded asset risks higher. But a lot of industries, we have to be fair, that have no opportunity and no ability to finance that out of themselves. They are caught, it's like they are trapped, you know, between a rock and a hard place. They cannot move unless the whole economy moves in another direction. And I need also to say we need to be open, but I agree, we need to focus first of all to get this going, but then we need to be open at the same time to say, well, what are other areas that need to transition into something more efficient in the context of environmental issues? Because we have the water issue, whether it's related to climate change or not, we have it there. Even before climate change was so high up, we know this. Take MEA, you know, Middle East and Asia. There was always this talking in history about many conflicts came up over the last, whatever, 1,000 years or 2,000 years about access to water, access to resources. We have the biodiversity issue, which is a healthcare issue beside of access to nutrition, you know.
Access
So
to resources,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Franz. Access to resources is the main challenge for all over the world, not only the Asia or for Turkey or for Anatolia. This is the main challenge. Right now, it is more challenge, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, but we need to make it piecemeal and productive in the sense of it is not wrong. Maybe it's going too short at the long term, but at the moment we need really to be focused on one area, and this is this energy aspect. This is the climate aspect. Otherwise, we want too much from the very beginning. So I'm humble there as well, or I'm promoting also. I'm very much demanding. For the finance sector, I say the finance sector needs to go 2 steps back and said, what did you finance without any consideration of these issues, just because you could make a lot of money? And that's also black and white. We need to go out of this black and white trap to develop. And then we might catch this opportunity of transition finance in the right way, which means we need to do something. It's not someone else. And that's probably the most interesting thing now, that we have to say, it's not the finance sector who has to change its attitude. Maybe the finance sector might have to change its attitude, what to finance much more, not only that it makes economic sense on the short term, does it make sense on the long term? And that's probably the challenge where the finance sector is in related to transition finance. What does it mean for its own products and services?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Vera, what we are doing now. Do you have any more questions?
I mean, thanks for your question, because this has basically given also Franz the opportunity to concentrate on a number of issues that I still had on my list. So I would like to just briefly ask one final question, and maybe also Franz can find a few closing words. And you've mentioned already, it's the climate issue. Do you think that the whole debate about transition finance and in particular the climate situation will benefit from such an initiative like this recommendation, or do you think that it will be basically without any impact? Do you think it has anything positive to do in this context? And I think after that we can then go on with our next program point. I think we are content-wise. I think we've covered all the questions that I wanted to discuss.
Well, a lot of intelligent people have worked on these recommendations. And we had over the last 5, 6, 7 years a huge process in the European Union to try to capture that. The finance sector has a tradition now for about 30 years. You know, I started in 1991 as the first sustainability manager for Swiss Bank Corporation, which is today UBS, which also got through a transition in some ways or in the other. But I would say all these efforts are now accelerated by a much better and growing understanding of the participants in economy and also by the finance sector. What is it about? So I would say it is the recommendation is the first push in towards a certain development, because a directive would mean it's already clear to all participants what needs to be done, and there is a huge consensus. It is clear to many participants. There is a growing consensus about details, but we are not there to have a wide consensus about all and everything. So the recommendations give a push, and maybe the push is picked up much easier than we ever thought about, because it is already pushing into a development. It's giving an additional push to something that's already rolling. You know, we have a level playing field on green finance in Europe already. Is it perfect? No. Is it prone to critique about greenwash or blue wash or whatever you want to say? Of course, you always can criticize. It's not perfect, but it is going into that direction. So I would say it is an opportunity. But again, I want to come back what I said at the very beginning. It's about what the participants in economy are doing with it. So the finance sector has more and more understanding. What is it about? What to do? Is it risk? Is it opportunity? I mean, you know, risk and opportunity are yin and yang again. It's the same thing. It's just understood more negative when you talk about risk usually, and the opportunity is something where you more might have an idea about success factors, positive returns, and so on and so forth. But I think this is what the finance sector does all the time. They pick up developments and are efficient. The industries are challenged now because I think we have, we have industries that are heavily related to raw materials, to energy. We have service sector, we have tourism, which are in a different way affected or impacted by these questions as well. So the dynamic, I think, if we succeed or if the development succeeds to go into that direction, is to embrace all actors in economy in a better way, in a more efficient way, and which also then makes it probably easier for the political side and the society to say, well, okay, now what's our role? The role is not to invent the wheel again. The role is to make it easier for the actors to do a good job. And society needs transparency to be able to judge it, whether it's sufficient or not. That's what I want to say to this.
Okay, thanks a lot, Franz. This was quite interesting, quite illuminating, I must say. I think we will have more discussions about this afterwards.
Yeah.
To deal with our enlightened confusion. Given the timing, I would suggest we group the questions and answers together after the presentation by Mr. Dindler. And so I would like to hand over to you, Huzur, and Mr. Dindler for the presentation, if this is fine.
And I'm sure that there will be questions, and I've seen in the message some comments from audience. For this reason, I would like to introduce Mr. Serdar Dinler right now, and then we will listen to him. And after Mr. Dinler's speech, we will get all the comments and questions. Okay, Mr. Serdar Diller is the president of the Corporate Social Responsibility Association of Turkey, and whose goal is to create tools, resources, and methodologies for business to behave socially responsible on social, economic, and environmental issues, so that the business can have a positive impact on the development of society. They describe themselves like this. So, and he worked, previously he worked for 23 years at the British Council and has founded more than 33 NGOs in Turkey, thereby becoming an expert on NGO in Turkey. I can say it briefly like this, and I'm sure that he can introduce himself better than me. And thank you very much for your join. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
we can hear you so clear.
Well, yes. I mean, I would like to start actually with my corporate social responsibilities, CSR adventure in Turkey, because that will maybe explain all the things that, all the progress that happened in Turkey. I started corporate social responsibility in Turkey, establishing a platform with a group of friends in 1994. But at that time, CSR in Turkey was seen as philanthropic efforts of some businessman or some industrial people. And as CSR platform, we were really having a hard time explaining CSR in the modern sense to the business world and other institutions in Turkey, because the company owners we visited were believing that their donations and sponsorships were good enough for CSR. And that's what they were thinking it. But actually, rapidly changing world with every day, with the new values we are meeting, also made the change of the companies. Like in the new millennium, there was very important two things happened that made Turkey, gave Turkey a very big change. One of them was global level, I want to mention, and the other one is actually on the European Union level. The one at the global level is actually the Millennium Development Goals. After United Nations announcing this 8 development goals in year 2000 with the new millennium, which was targeted to achieve in 2015 and implemented after the signature of 189 member countries and 20 international organizations. It was very important point for Turkish business and Turkish government and other stakeholders. Gave a very big change and bring new values for us. Well, at the same time, in parallel, in 1999, Turkey's adventure with European Union started or accelerated. European Commission granted Turkey with the status of candidate country. And after some process, actually in 2004, the European Council decided to open the access to negotiations in Turkey in 2005. So impacts of the Millennium Development Goal and the Turkish candidacy process to the European Union really motivated Turkish business to integrate changes and the new values into their business operations. And of course, these new changes and new values were also very welcomed by the Turkish private sector, Turkish government, civil societies in Turkey. And this was really a very important driving source for us. So starting from 2005, with the Millennium Development Goals and with the EU membership process, companies, institutions, and organizations in Turkey actually began to internalize these values and include them in their business. And during this period, I can say modern CSR began to gain importance among the business people, whom we were having difficulty to explain what CSR was, and then business started contacting with us and inviting us to explain CSR once again. So after that, we did, with this development, we said it's time to convert this platform to a registered NGO, and which we did. When we became an NGO, the subject of environment was at the top of the agenda of the companies in Turkey, actually, which is still same. And the fact that environment was in both the 8th goal in the Millennium Development Goals, and on environment was also 27th in the EU negotiation headlines, was caused us as an NGO to put the environment issue at the top of our agenda as importance with as other stakeholders did. And we started working on the what candidate countries need to do under the EU environment title. We did work on that, which were like harmonization, environmental legislation, development of infrastructure and capacity, waste management, recycling. Of course, one of the important one is the environmental education and awareness, actually, I can say, was in our agenda on those days. And when we all know that European Union started allocating funds to candidate countries to finance their progress, especially in the environmental project, of course, with the contribution of the local government. But at that time, as NGO and other stakeholders were saying that the private sector has the great responsibility on harmonizing the environmental topic with the European Union standards, and it could not be done or it could not be fulfilled unless there was enough finance or funds for private sector to do. So this is what we were as CSR Turkey working on those days and trying to raise awareness about more finance, more funds for the transition to green. This is what our main aim. So now actually I'm very happy that this subject is almost completed, and I am now having a chance to talk in a webinar which is called Transition Finance for a Sustainable or Green Future. So I feel like that as CSR Turkey during our early years, we did a good job and we succeeded our maybe lobbying. So now this is happening. Now, after this introduction, I would like to maybe mention very quickly what efforts are being done in Turkey in the field of environment and sustainable finance to move towards green future. Green finance and sustainable investments in Turkey, the financial sector really promoting green finance and sustainable investment by offering a number of financial products and services. Like I can maybe give very few examples, like Turkey İş Bank offers environmental friendly financial products such as green loans, green bonds, sustainable investment funds to promote green finance. Akbank is same, but plus they also run number of programs to support projects aligned with sustainability principles. Guarantee BBVA, they also have credit line to provide financial assistance to sustainability focused projects. Yapı Kredi, same environmental friendly project. And we also have Denizbank, as same with other banks, wide range of products that they are giving to the industry, offering to the industry. Well, this is really accelerating the progress, financing or transition finance process in Turkey, and then they are all used in many different areas. But one of the most important few areas I can mention is like energy transition and renewable energy investments. Turkish government is taking really significant steps towards energy transition and investments in renewable energy with our own source plus sources from European Union and other IFIs contribution. Of course, environmental infrastructure investments. Again, Turkey is making really significant investments on environmental infrastructure to improve the water supply, waste management, air quality, all those subjects. And green technology and innovation is one of the important part. The development of green technology and to encourage the development of eco-friendly technologies are very much supported in Turkey. But most important thing for me, which I give high priority, is the regulations. For the success of all I mentioned is directly related with regulations, and Turkish government is consistently reviewing and updating and promoting the sustainability principles to support green economic and growth. Of course, not only Turkish banks or Turkish governments, international financial institutions are really supporting transition finance in Turkey. Like World Bank, provides number of financing for technical support for environmental infrastructure projects, renewable energy projects, agriculture, sustainable agriculture project. Again, European Investment Bank, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, like EBRD. Nowadays, very little, but Asian Infrastructure Bank is in the market, and of course, the main one is the European Union that really supports. So actually, I believe that in Turkey, we are really fast in this implementation of these changes and internalizing the values. And I think in Turkey, it is a very big market on sustainability projects, of course, the innovative ones. So I don't want to go more because I know that we will have time problem. So maybe this will be enough. And thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much for your speech. And you mentioned that innovation is very important, especially the sustainable finance. And when we are talking about the transition finance, it means that we need to find a way, new solution ways. And when we are talking about the new things, we mean that the innovation and the innovation side is very important. And Vera, maybe we can get some questions and also the comments from our guests. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks, Mr. Dindar, for this great presentation. I was listening with much interest and I've learned a lot. Thank you very much. And I agree. Yes, the innovation issue, I think this is absolutely crucial. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I think we should invite for comments or questions if there are any from the audience. So please.
I noticed one comment, I think, from Taylan Zafer Bali. I read something. Yes, if you want, you can say your comments, or if you have the questions, Taylan Hocam. Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Yes. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Well, as an economist, I just felt the urge to underline that these issues, both the environmental issues and their solution, bear quite important negative and positive externalities. The issues cause negative externalities to the society, and their solution, they cause positive externalities, which would not accrue to these to the private financial institutions. Therefore, both the governments, local and central governments, as well as the supranational bodies, should intervene, should cooperate in the financing of environmental solutions, not the issues, but the solutions, of course, all the measures. That was what I wanted to underline. And besides, there can be conflicting interests of actors in these issues. And both parts, or all parts, because there can be more than two, they should be ready to trade off and to compensate the sacrifices of an actor if there is such a case. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All your and may I ask you, because I know you very well, and you are the very esteemed professor in Ankara, in Turkey. Could you please briefly, can you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you very much for your undeserved compliments. Actually, I'm a lecturer at the Political Science Faculty, at the Department of Economics of the Political Science Faculty of the University of Ankara. And I'm an economist by trade and interested in environmental issues as well and energy issues, as you know. Besides, I think it is an interdisciplinary issue. We should all be involved in these issues, not only economists or engineers, but both natural and social scientists and finance people. We should collaborate in the solution of these environmental issues.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Definitely. Okay.
May I contribute to that very important aspect? And I mean, this is great that you come up with that, Mr. Bali, Thailand, Xavier Bali. I think we have, and that's now going a little bit into the nitty-gritty. The complexity of transition on the outcome side, on the impact side, is much more on the horizon of regulation than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you know, transition or the taxonomy was focusing on industries to promote industries to do things different, to push industries to engage with innovation, going into one direction. Now we are more and more aware of this need for balancing different approaches, that balancing also necessary or consequences that are not wished for, but which may happen. And I think that's important to be understood, that the European Union and the finance sector in the European Union, also let's say the inspired investors, you know, very focused on economic outcome, but inspired by not wanting to have a significant negative impact on environment or social aspects, is asking the question, it's not either or, it is and. So, a positive impact on the environmental side is not accepted by itself, or accepting itself that there is a negative impact on the social side or societal side. So we will have certainly a development now where this balancing different interests and outcomes is much more part of the debate. And I think that is addressing what was just mentioned right now, that we need to be more aware of that society needs to be more transparent. You know, you cannot come up, say, today it's great, tomorrow it's bad. That's not efficient in economic terms itself. So we need to be much more open in the sense of asking for both sides of the balance. Maybe there is, in one case, the technology is not that advanced, but it has less impact on the social side. Or sometimes we need a fast technological development which has negative consequences at the first stance. For example, changing industries means sometimes that you have to accept a loss of jobs, because this industry has just lost its economic logic in a certain context. But at the same time, you have to say, well, we cannot just leave these people on the road or on the way, we forget about them. Bad luck, you know, you had the wrong number. It is about to say, well, when we push one thing, we have to accept to not to forget an outcome on the other side. So this embracing the many aspects of impact is a necessity today, which is already very much debated by those let's say, enlightened participants in the finance sector. And this is something which is understood by the finance industry by itself. Whether it's already changing mainstream, that's another question. But let's not think that finance sector is so dumb just to go into one direction only. They're aware of risks. They're aware of changing opportunities. They're aware of changing boundary conditions, whether it is, as it was mentioned by Mr. Dindler's presentation as well, the international financing organizations, the EBRDs of the world, you know, they are more and more they're always driven by certain particular interests, but they're more and more aware of these intertwined aspects that we need to see both sides of the equation. I think that's an important thing to consider right now. What does it mean for an industry is to be much better prepared to understand what is the questions I will have to answer tomorrow, not today.
Yeah.
And that's probably what the whole debate you raise here with this webinar is, that the real economy, so the producing, the manufacturing industries, even the tourism, all other service providers need to know what is today that I can answer the question which is more precise tomorrow. And this tomorrow is not in 10 years. It might be in 1 year.
Definitely. Definitely. Yes. Yes. Yes. Are there any comments or questions to our guests? And we will be really, very happy to hear your comments and your views. So please share your views, and if you have questions, please ask right now. I think there is any comments and any questions right now.
No, that's right. So that's also my impression. Nonetheless, thanks a lot to the comments that we've heard from Mr. Zafar Bali, and also the contribution from Mr.
Vera, there is one more comment or question from.
I wish to ask something.
Yes.
What do you think about? What do you think about that? This artificial intelligence effects on this, on what you're talking, because the calculations behind your comprehension in an immediate time, not snap. We are people. We getting together and establish something organization and think about it and move about it. What will be? In my question, in my living question, that in sustainability means for me new economy, new approach, and we define every calculated coins means money, new definitions. So when I put in that artificial intelligence on that, we are becoming absolute. What you're talking about on this situation, because counting every aspects on it, we talking about it. You are very thank you for your presentation. What you foresee in the future, in the coming future? That's all what I ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bahab. I understand your question, and what is the effects, all this sustainability environment, the artificial intelligence definitely will affect all this sustainability environment. And what is our expectation about these effects on the sustainability world? I understand like this. I think am I right or not? Maybe
It's enough.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I think Mr. Zafar Bali would like to say something. He has raised his hand.
Where's my microphone?
Okay, Baha, we got your question. Thank you very much for your question. And Mr. Taylan Zafar Bali, Mr. Professor Taylan, do you have any comments or question?
Thank you very much. I was about writing it down to the chat section as well. Well, I think it would be nice to know about some success and failure stories of environmental financing, some case studies, and to know a little more why successes have become success and why failures have become failures. It would be nice to know some concrete examples as well. Thank you very much. If not now, in another webinar, perhaps.
Yes. Very interesting.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you very much.
Really look into this. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. At first, Baha's question, I think we will answer, and then we will say something about the professor's comments. Yes.
Yeah.
Should I try to give an answer to the artificial intelligence question? Or I mean, that one is an interesting one because it's already now a lot of companies, finance sector companies in Europe are coming up and saying this is the solution for everything. Let's be honest. I mean, artificial intelligence is a very wide area. First of all, in the context of sustainability or environmental or social aspects, it will certainly help to group information in a much more efficient and much faster way than it was in the past. The second thing is the contribution of artificial intelligence might be even more interesting in the context of not identifying, first of all, what is of biggest importance. It is probably to identify where are the breaks in an argumentation base. So where is an information which is out there and put together and brought up for use that is accessible in the out there in the markets? Is it credible or is it not credible? That's one aspect that is discussed right now, that there is an increase. Does it fundamentally solve the problems by itself? I doubt, because in sustainability and economic activities, it's about impact. And impact depends on the quality of the baseline, which is presented. So I think we are at the beginning of this of the technical solutions that are out there, and they might contribute. At the end, it's single participants that have to do certain things. So use of information, configuration of information, whether it is meeting a certain benchmark or a certain, the credibility must be in a certain bandwidth. Is it up there or is it down there? That is much faster now by artificial intelligence or machine reading tools and so on and so forth. I haven't seen yet the real active solution in the finance sector that says this is outstanding, a new product. Well, we have areas like the blockchain, which is an also technical tool. Does it relate to artificial intelligence? I'm not that sure. It is just a very efficient way to use the possibilities. But I think that's just a quick answer to that. And I think the case studies which were addressed second is a second thing you might look at, you as organizer of these webinars. But there's another question up there.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer, Franz. Yes, Mustafa Kemal Özkazanç. Yes, we are listening to you.
Thank you for this webinar. I got too many things actually. I am suffering the high interest rate in Turkey in order to make investment. Do you hear me?
Yes, we are. We can hear you. Yes, please continue.
I would like to introduce myself first of all. I'm a computer engineer. I was involved energy industry, energy sector for a long time. And 2 years ago, I come back to do my master's study, which I was dropped 31 years ago. So that my subject is related with that one. My thesis subject is improving the energy efficiency in renewables using the IoT devices. It contains too many artificial intelligence issues. So that I can summarize that one in two cases. One of them is my case. The other one is the financial case. In technical case, I mean that it should be artificial intelligence should be used in order to improve the efficiency of the renewables, so that it will affect the environment issues, and how could we do that? We should use the artificial intelligence in order to optimize the devices in the production and the consumption side, so that it will affect the return time of the credits. It will be getting lower time. It's important in such a country, in something like that in Turkey, because the interest rates are too high. After the COVID issues, all interest rates all over the world are getting high, so that the financial issue, as you say, that it should be creditable. But in order to be creditable, in any case, in order to be credible, it should be more and more efficient. In order for it means that the return rate of the investment should be shorter because of the interest rate, so that the artificial intelligence should be used to decide which part of the energy will be used in which interval in the best optimization. For example, I can give an example, maybe it will be clarified, that one. For example, if you want to heat up some storage using the heat pump, it depends on the outer temperature. So that if you choose the artificial intelligence related with the meteorological issues, I mean, when you choose the time which the outer temperature is the higher level, and it should be related with the how much energy you need, and your heat pump's capacity in order to heat up, so that you will decide that at what time interval you should run up your heat pump in order to warm up your spaces. So that artificial intelligence is most strong issue in order to decide that the energy where and when it will be used, so that it will be used in technical case. I don't know, in financial case, maybe it will decide that the projects will be evaluated using the artificial intelligence in such technical issues, and all the other similar projects which are credited but failed or returned credit. You know that it's the important thing for the creditors in order to get the loan back, so that in both cases artificial intelligence should be used, but mostly in technical. I don't know, it's very new subject if I describe it clearly or not, but I have trouble also in order to explain to my thesis authors and thesis teachers, so they could not decide how it could be used. I am still have trouble to explain it to them. Do you have any questions about that one, or clarification?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kemal Bey. If our maybe friends or Serdar, do you have any idea about this challenge of Mustafa Kemal's challenge? Do you have any offer to solution of this, or what do you think about? I think, yeah.
Well, I'm not the only one who can give answers to this, but I think one aspect which is interesting, Mustafa Bey said, is the optimization of data use. I mean, that's what I addressed already. This is certainly something which is a huge thing with artificial intelligence. The second one is this combination from accessible data and behavior of the users. So how to make people aware of where their improvement potential is by comparing different behavioral attitudes in the same group of people. That's also the thing that works on the finance sector, that, for example, for credit agencies and credit providing financial institutions, the ability to assess the risk dynamics in a certain industry or in a certain sector are probably much easier now, or becoming easier, than in the past, where you were always related to just having one data point and compare it with another one. This is now done much faster. And I think that the last thing that is to be understood is that in the sustainability area, what relates to behavior, I addressed it already to some extent, is that to see what people react, or what certain groups of users, whether customers or clients, react, that will be, or is already, an area where artificial intelligence is used in the finance sector, at least. But I think Mr. Dindlers has something to contribute to that as well.
Well, yes, thank you very much. Actually, I don't have that much to say, because I mean, I'm not on the technical side, I'm not an engineer, but yes, I mean, the most important thing is the impact. And what I can say that, yes, I mean, the artificial intelligence should be used, or can be used, and I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence systems. So yes, I mean, I do, find logical Kemal-based explanations.
Okay, I can say that I love artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence make my life easier, I can say. So I'm the one of the fan of artificial intelligence, I can say. Okay, there are one more question or comments from Miss Büşra Çanakçı. Would you like to ask, or would you like to say your comments to us, Büşra Hanım?
Did you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, please.
I just want to ask that there is a gap between different countries in the level of their development in terms of social economic levels. And I just wonder that the transition of finance, how could impact these gaps? I mean, if it can be widen the gap or narrow the gap between countries. So what do you think about this potential effects on countries at various stages of economic development, this transition of financial systems?
Yes, it's really very interesting. And we need to think about so deeply altogether. And it's perfect question. Thank you very much, Büşra. Yes.
Maybe it's me who should give an answer, or I was addressed. If someone else is coming up, I'm very happy to listen. But in theory, how it is in practice is another question. But in theory, these attempts now, transition finance should widen the level playing field. It should not widen the gaps, because there is no way back from a globalized finance. Whatever the political issues we have nowadays, this we always will have. But economy is getting more and more efficient in picking up the opportunities. And beside of political stability in one country, which is a huge risk for investors in any case, transition finance as it is, let's say, required to have a more balanced view, should not widen the gaps, it should probably helping to narrow gaps. It's not either or, it is and. There will be always gaps, but are they getting wider? I think the intention is not to getting wider. You ask in your text, specifically what could be the potential effects on countries at various stages of economic developments. Now, you all know that economy is a global exchange nowadays. Of course, you have domestic markets. You have domestic markets for all kinds of things, but no country, and certainly Turkey, grew over the last 10 years tremendously, or 20 years tremendously, by contributing to the markets in the European Union. It's a huge aspect. So the role of suppliers, the role of let's say distributed supply chains is a huge and a fundamental one. So I think, again, the investors today require from big industries placed in the European Union to be much more open about their supply chain. Well, this is then having a positive impact on the supply chain. Maybe not making it easier to be dirty, it should make it less easy to produce under negative environmental or social consequences. And that's why I say transition finance, with also these caveats it has inbuilt, you should support climate change, but you should not harm. Think about the transition, the taxonomy regulation in the European Union. You should not have a negative impact on other environmental aspects by promoting one aspect. It might focus on one thing, but you have to be clear that you avoid to have too much significant negative impact on others. And what I said at the beginning, this transparency requirements which are now coming up in the financial markets and by the financial markets participants is getting more and more sincere. So you cannot just talk about everything to be positive. You might have to explain where are the darker sides of your initiative, which means the not yet found solutions. No one has to come up with a perfect solution, but everyone has to show where he stands, where it is not so balanced. And that's why I would say, is there a window of opportunity for optimism? I would say yes. Fundamentally, I'm an optimistic person, but does it go fast? It goes faster when there is transparency required by the systems and by the participants. And that's another aspect where I think we are in without going, there's no way to go back, there's no way to hide anymore. You have to show, you have to be clear. You don't need to have a solution for everything. Now I'm speaking about industry, manufacturers, but you need to be clear where are your, let's say, deficit parts. And that's where I think the transition finance issue is supporting development also, where the gaps exist right now much more.
And
kind of an answer.
Yeah, thank you very much for your answer. And also, I would like to say something about this question. If you would like to reach some financial sources, you need to obey, you need to follow the rules. And if you would like to work with international banks and international financial sources, you need to be transparent. And you need to follow the legislation, for example, EU and international rules. So sustainability finance can be very, very helpful for developing countries to regenerate their legislation, regenerate their structure and governance. So it is a very important tool, and it is a very important way to develop all the countries, especially the financial sides, because you have to reach financial sources. So it's a good way to push these countries and these industries, these companies to obey these rules, in my opinion. Yes, Vera.
I think this was a very interesting exchange of views, contributions, a very interesting discussion. I'm very glad that we've had so many contributions. And I think, given the advanced time, I think we should come to a close. And actually, I must say, I'm very grateful that we still have a relatively large number of participants, which shows that the discussion has also been appreciated by our guests.
Could I ask a question? Could I ask a question?
Baha, I'm sorry, but we need to be
Finish it. Sorry about it.
webinar.
Let me ask no answer. What about nuclear? That's about it. What about nuclear? No answer I need.
Okay. Okay. Just Baha gives us a question, and maybe our next webinar could be this subject, and we can discuss about what kind of renewable energy we need to have, and what our view about the nuclear. And right now, thank you very much, really. And it was our first webinar. And maybe we are not so experienced, but it's a great opportunity. And also, you can see in our poster Vera's email address and my email address on our poster. So if you have any comments, and we would like to send the questionnaire. Am I right, Vera, to get your comments and your views about our first webinar? Please send your feedback about this webinar, and we will also share the summary of this webinar. And thank you very much for our guest. It's really very, very fruitful and very, very good for us. And thank you very much all these comments and questions. And it's great for me. Thank you indeed.
Yes, also from my side, thank you very much indeed. So we will send you the questionnaire for all those of you who have not yet provided the email address. Please send them by mail. But I've seen we have already quite a number of addresses in the chat, so I think that's already a very good start. And then we will see how to take it from there. So thanks a lot to Mr. Dindler. Thanks a lot to Franz. Thanks also to all the participants, to the interesting questions and contributions. And I think, with this we close, and we will keep you posted, and we will stay in contact. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Bye-bye.
And I would like to say that you can reach this video on Quadomo YouTube channel. We will also give this information to you. And thank you again. Have a nice day.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Vera.
Yes, thanks, Huzur. I think this was very interesting. I'm quite glad, I must say, how well it went and how committed everybody was. Yeah, I think it was a good start.
Yes, yes, it was a good start. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we can talk later, and we can make something on the video, and we can put on the Quadomo YouTube channel, and we can edit the old summary. We will work more.
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. I have to see how
Okay.
to obtain the summary and all these things, and we have to see how well this AI summary is. We probably have to add a little bit of manual work, but I'll keep you posted. Huh? And so thanks a lot, and I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to continuing on this path. Huh?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye.